All right, guys. So welcome to another episode of Beer Fish Fanatics. This is Grandy with MaPop Fishing, and we have
Kit with Fishing Kit.
And today's guest, just so everybody knows, if you're from Central Iowa, if you love sports, pretty sure you know this guy, or at least you hear his voice. You'll probably, I think I've heard his voice before. So we actually got a special guest today, Mr. Ross Peterson of KXnO, Sports Fanatics, a little bit different. Sports Fanatics, and then he also had a podcast, I believe, with the Iowa DNR. And that was actually pretty cool. So just to kind of give you a heads up on that, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But thanks so much, Ross. I'm a huge fan of yours. So thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to speak with you, sir.
Oh, Grandy, thanks, man. Thanks for reaching out and offering me the chance to come on. I was really excited once I got a chance to go back and listen to some of you guys' episodes. This is going to be fun. Cool. You guys are, I'm excited to talk to you guys about a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I'm excited too.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of yours because, and the reason why I ask you on here because I know you pretty much love what I love. I mean, you love beer, craft beer, you love fishing, and I mean, you love sports and you love the Hawkeyes. Thank goodness for you on that. So today, just want to give everybody a heads up. I'm actually going local today. The beer I'm drinking today, give a quick shout out to Confluence. I'm a big IPA guy. I haven't drank this one in a while. Me and Kit were just talking about that. So I'm going to do Des Moines IPA today. And what are you drinking today, Kit?
I got Cloud City from Fire Trucker here in Ankeny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. How about you, Mr. Peterson? What are you drinking?
All right, man. I had something really cool. I have a Rogue Imperial Stout from 2006.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
I've been saving this for like a really special occasion, and I took it with me on my last fishing trip last week.
Uh-huh.
And I opened it up with my buddies, and we kind of had a couple of drinks out of it. And then I was able to seal it back up, and I decided tonight would be the night to finish it off. So This is, I was looking forward to this big time. You see,
that's awesome.
That is awesome. And then just so everybody knows with those things, once you crack it, you gotta finish it pretty quick because it becomes flat, right?
I did get it like when I wish I would have almost saved it to pop it when we were recording, because when I did pop that seal again, I heard the like come back out. So yeah.
All good. Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, good to see you guys.
Cheers.
So if anybody's wondering, I actually really do think this is one of the better IPAs I've ever had. Actually, I really do like Confluence Des Moines IPA. If anybody's wondering, is it bitter and hoppy? Yes, it damn is. So, like I said, it's one of those things. IPA is just an acquired taste. So, but you get up to it, right? And you didn't start just craft beer right away, did you?
With me? Are you asking me there, Grandy? Because my craft beer experience actually started with IPA when I was like 25. A buddy of mine went out mountain biking in Santa Barbara, and the IPAs were like the hot thing at the time. And so it's almost one of those deals though, where like you guys have one of those foods that you ate too much of as a kid and you threw up, and then you can't have that food ever again.
Pretty much.
That's kind of what hops are for me now. Like I just had So I'm not a huge IPA fan. It's not like I can't drink them, but I'm much more of like a sipper of IPAs. And if I go to like a beer event or something, I'll have a couple of them, but I'll usually have them in really small doses. And then I really love my stouts are like, I can drink stouts all day, every day, 120 degrees, middle of a lake.
Oh, man. Yeah. You sound like my wife. My wife's a big stout person, and and I get yelled at all the time because my brother-in-laws, they all live in Denver area, so they always give us beer. Like they know I'm a huge beer fanatic, and they always give me tons of beer. And then they literally, you can ask Fishing Kit this. Whenever we see them, they give me beer and they give me stouts and porters. They go, "Okay, Grandy, this is for your wife, our sister. Don't you damn dare touch this, all right?" And I'm not gonna lie, there was a few times that I had to do a little crack and taste. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Just a little sneak in there.
What do you like, Fishing Kit? What's your go-to?
Currently my favorite beer, I think it would be the Pseudo Stew from Top League Goliath. I'm big into IPAs. I used to hate IPAs, but Grandy was the one that introduced me to IPAs. Like, man, how can you drink this stuff? It's like you're drinking a pine tree is what it tasted like to me. And now I love it. That's all I drink really.
So sours are kind of my thing also, man.
Really,
stouts and sours are the two things I like the best. Yep.
all right.
That all came from IPA. You know what I mean? I liked IPAs, and then the stouts. I used to like Guinness. That was kind of like the first beer that got me into stouts. But that all basically stemmed from just not liking Bud Light. You know what I mean? And Coors Light and Busch Light, and I couldn't ever drink those beers with my friends. So I was the dude in I'm older than you guys. So I was the dude in high school that tried a Zima. You know what I mean?
I don't think you're that much older, man. Hey, I'm glad you brought that up. By the way, this is a 3-person podcast, graduates of East High.
No kidding. Oh, I didn't know this. All right, man.
It's my senior year. Yeah, I graduated in 98. I think, Kit, you were 90 or 2000?
2003.
Damn, I'm old.
Oh, okay. You're the kid. Okay. I was 96. So, yeah, Grandy, I wasn't too far ahead of you there.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool because we're just talking about that. Yeah.
I was having parties with dudes you graduated with.
Nice. So it was kind of cool. Yeah, we were just talking about that. We're like, yeah, kid, I totally forgot. He's a Scarlet, man. He knows about East Side Night at Iowa State Fair. He knows how it goes, man.
Yeah.
I love East Side, man. Absolutely.
What are the odds? That's crazy.
It's pretty funny. So, but actually, I wanted to bring you in, obviously, talk about beer, talk about fishing, talk about your last trip. So where did you go? Explain that a little bit, because I saw these pictures. So if anybody has it, I'm going to put this on the show notes, the links and everything. But your pictures of your son, dude, that video of your son catching his smile, bro. Oh my gosh, it's
amazing,
priceless. But I mean, explain your trip a little bit if you don't mind, and where you went and why you go there.
Yeah. So man, thanks for asking that question, Grandy, because this is a long story, man. So I'm going to kind of do what Kevin Paul did to you guys last week. I'm going to ramble for a bit. And I love Kevin. I hope we get a lot of time to talk about Kevin and the stuff he was sharing with you guys last week or on Tuesday's episode, because I got a chance to fish with him earlier this summer, and it was awesome, man. Yeah, I fished with Kevin on a little guided trip. He took me out, me and my buddy Adam Bentz, and we went cane pole fishing. So I want to talk to you guys about all that. But I started at the radio station 17 years ago, and I was kind of a jack of all trades. You know what I mean? I was the kid that was running around trying to help everybody. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys that I helped out a lot was a guy by the name of Keith Kirkpatrick. He used to do the Sportsman's Notebook on WHO. That was like the very first broadcast outdoorsman show in central Iowa. And Keith was just, man, like the classic outdoorsman, a super gentleman, a conservationist, just aware of his place in kind of the world and wanted to enjoy all the things and then leave it in pristine condition for everybody to come in behind him and enjoy it too. And one of the things that was part of that life for him was building this relationship with a group in Baudette, Minnesota, which is like that absolute northern point of Minnesota. You know, that northern line of Minnesota runs with Canada, then there's that little blip at the top. Mm-hmm. That's the Lake of the Woods. Mm-hmm. And the Lake of the Woods at Baudette is right on the shoreline there of Canada and Minnesota. So Keith had this relationship with a resort up there that was called the Walleye Connection. And he started filling up buses. I mean, back 20 years ago, he started filling up buses full of fishermen, and they would go up there and get out on the big water. I mean, you can't see land in any direction. It's a 1 million acre lake. Jeez. And it's awesome. And it's an unbelievable fishery. Like, I mean, when Kevin was talking last week about how the DNR or Minnesota has such a great natural replenishing system, you know, the DNR doesn't have to stock stuff up there. That there's no better example of that in Minnesota fisheries than the Lake of the Woods. It's remarkable. If you can get out on the big water, you can go out and catch some just slabs, man. It was so much fun. And it's always been that way. So I got hooked up with Keith just as the young kid that was willing to go and help him on and off the dock. Very early on, I kind of started doing like email groups. You know, I would go through the bus and get everybody's email. And then you know, for a guy that was 85 years old at the time, he thought it was magic that at the end of the trip, I was sending an email with all of our pictures to this group of people, you know,
Yeah.
And some of the younger guys on the trip would be walking back on the bus going, "Hey Ross, I got all those pictures." He's like, "What the hell are they talking about?" So it was super cool, right? And I became an awesome friend with Keith, and he became like a third grandpa for me. He and I fished at Devil's Lake up in North Dakota a couple times. We went on a bunch of trips up to Ballards, and then after a couple of those trips, the Ballards family bought an island in Canada, and they started the Black Island Resort. And they wanted Keith to start hosting trips to the Black Island. My TV's distracting me with all my colors. Looks like I'm in a raid. Yankees getting their asses kicked anyway. So
I was going to say that I saw the flickering in the background. I'm like, man, he is in a club.
I'm at it, brother. You know that. Yeah, I get after it here. I think it was like a Samsung commercial or something. It was distracting me. So anyway, I'd go up to the island. They came to Keith and asked him if he wanted to host trips to the island, and he was just too old to do it, quite frankly. And he said that. So he kind of handed those trips off to me, and I started going to Canada. I've been doing that for like 6 years, and go up there and we catch great fish. We can catch perch, in those weed lines like Kevin was talking about. Like, there's all this science behind catching 6 or 7 different species. Huge muskie up there. This year, obviously, we couldn't go to Canada. And last year, Keith actually passed away. So Keith couldn't host his trip on the bus this year. So I hosted that bus trip up to Minnesota. And I got to take my son with me. I had a couple of my best friends, guys that go to Canada with me, and guys that I fish with a lot, Dusty Shannon and Ryan Carlstead. They went with me and my son. So we get on a bus, and this is a trip that hopefully going to start doing every year. And it's an amazing trip. So like we get on a bus in Des Moines, and could have, if Eli wouldn't have been with me, we would have started drinking at like 6 a.m. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
No responsibilities the whole way there. They fed us the whole time, amazing food. The boats are chartered and guided, and and everything, you have to take zero equipment with you. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I took clothes to stay warm and dry for 3 days. So it's awesome trip as far as just being able to relax and cut loose and then go out and catch great fish. But the one like trick about going up to the Rainy River and to Baudette and the Lake of the Woods is that water is so big that if it's windy, you can't get out on it. It's 8 foot, 10 foot rolling, crashing waves. You could surf it. It's incredible. So if there's like a 15-mile-an-hour wind, you can get out on it, and it's kind of rough and it's fun, and you feel like you're just on an adventure. That it gets up to like sustained 20 miles an hour, and you have to fish in the river. So I've been up there. I mean, like, I don't know, I've probably been to Baudette like 7 or 8 times. So that means probably like 40 different trips out on the water, And of those 40 trips, I probably had to stay in the river like 5, had not caught a fish in those 5 times in the river. I mean, it's tough fishing, right? You're in a river and you're anchored in a river. So it's tough fishing. Monday, when we got out on the water, it was really rough. So we knew we had to fish the river. We fished the river. It wasn't great. We caught a couple of walleye, but actually caught mostly sauger. Like sauger are kind of like the cousin of the walleye. They look like them, but they just don't have the white tip fin. Yeah. So we caught a couple sauger and a couple walleye, but not a great day of fishing. But then Tuesday, it was nice enough for us to get out on the big water. And man, we had like an unbelievable day, man. We hit this hole. My buddy Ryan pulled in a 28-inch walleye. We were having a big fish contest on the bus. So we thought, man, you're in the money here, dude. Like 28 inches is going to win you cash. We're high-fiving, that feeling on the boat, right? Like, damn, nice fish, dude. And pretty soon, another guy on the boat hooks up with one. He's like, hey, man, I got a hog here too. It's like a 25. I'm like, damn, we might be into something here. And then I caught a 31, which ended up being, dude, fish of a lifetime. Hooked up with it, fought it, got him into the net, got him up, weighed him and measured him, took our pictures, got him back in the water. I actually have a picture of my son and I, because I grabbed him quick and like kind of squeezed him, got a picture of the fish and threw it back in. And then the highlight of the trip was my son was fishing next to me, and all of a sudden he set the hook and that rod tip doesn't move, and he got real scared at first. I think he thought he was going to lose the fish or lose the rod. So he's kind of fighting it. And then all of a sudden he kind of realized he was able to do it. And horsed it up, and we got a 28-inch walleye.
Wow.
The video that you're talking about, Grandy, was just awesome. How it was a lot like how he caught the fish, man. He doesn't know that he can do it. He's like, he's 10 years old. He's questioning whether or not he can even hold this fish. And the guide's kind of helping him through it. Like, hold your fingers like a hook, right here, you're going to put it. And then you see him be able to do it. And it's like that confidence of like, oh man, I did it.
Dude, his face, I'm telling you, hey, I'll post that up. Dude, his face, that video, when you post that up, I'm like, man, yep, that's it. That's what that trip probably made it for you right then and there.
Totally, man. Grandy, it is one of those things. Like, I don't know that I'll ever have a moment like that on the water. Mm-hmm. I have a daughter who's 3 or 4 now, so maybe someday we'll have something similar to that, I hope. But man, that was
start her now.
Right. She's already been fishing with me. Yeah, she begs to go, so she's a good one too. But
awesome.
Yeah, man, it was awesome. And then on Wednesday, then we went out. We were back in the river, and I caught a sturgeon for the first time ever.
Oh, that's got to be cool.
Yeah, man. Did you see that picture, Grandy? Because
no, I haven't seen that one.
All right, man. I'll have to send it to you because it's a 35-inch sturgeon, which sounds big, but you guys know, for sturgeon, that's right. So I thought that they had. I mean, when you see it, man, it looks like they have like 5 spiny columns running down. They got a big bony spine, sticky. Then I'm talking to Jeff Kopaska. He tells me that there's not even a bone in that fish. That's all cartilage. So, man, they're a freak of a fish. Like, they are a dinosaur and a biological freak, man. Fun to learn about. So, like, the one I caught was 35 inches. The DNR website in Minnesota said that river, the Rainy River, has 10,000 sturgeon over 40 inches. So that's, if you stack them on top of each other, it would be a stack of fish like, was it 60 miles long, I think is what the math is on that. That's what I mean, they're like piled up each other, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, it was an amazing trip, Grandy, like incredible. Wow. And that's one that you guys should, it's Baudette and the Ballards people. You can be any level of fisherman and go up there and have fun. I've seen people that had never caught a fish in their life. I saw dudes that were ice fishing and when the fish would come out of the water, they would want to hold the fish with a towel because they were afraid the fish would hold.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
That's too good. That's
a good one, dude. I've never heard of that, but that's awesome.
Dudes like you guys who've got a ton of experience, and like me and my buddies, we want to handle the fish and we want to bait our, we want to do as much as we can while we're up there. We don't, there's a little bit of pride and not having a man take my walleye off my hook, right?
yeah, for sure.
Agreed.
And they're good with that. Like, they recognize that right away in every person, and they know that if there's 6 people on the boat, there's 6 different levels of all that stuff, and it's just an awesome experience, man. I'd encourage anybody to do a trip like that.
We're gonna have to do that.
Pretty cool. Hey, I'm down. That sounds like a blast.
And if you get an opportunity, Ross, check, because I don't know if you know Jay Siemens up there in Canada. He has a YouTube channel and everything, Jay Siemens, and we actually did a podcast interview with him. He talks about the whole Lake of the Woods and everything. I mean, we got into details about that because I think he lives in Kenora, up there in what is it, Manitoba and stuff area.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So it was near the north. Yeah, that's kind of where we caught those giant fish, was near the northwest angle, which is so we could see 3 pieces of land once we got up to our actual hole. To our left was Manitoba. In front of us was that portion of Minnesota that's disconnected, and then to our right it was Ontario. So like and then this time of year, man, you see every shade of orange and brown and green that you could ever imagine, man. It's amazing, every part of it, the scenery, the people, you know what I'm saying? And then the real trip is going to Canada, because then you're out on the island and you're actually in your own boat with your buddies. You know what I'm saying? And that has a little bit even more of like what Jay would have been talking about, is when you get out on those islands out in the Lake of the Woods, man, you might be standing in a place where a man hasn't stood in 10,000 years. Wow. You can find there's an island called Painted Rock Island, and you can find what looks like I mean, you know, caveman style paintings, and it's very obviously guys fishing. They either caught a northern or a muskie. They were ice fishing. It shows them standing above the ice and the fish underneath them. And then the next line over, it's all the guys standing with their feet, with their hands in the air, and the fish is on a bent pole.
So
yeah,
it's
like,
caved. It's like carved into.
Yeah, it's like painted on this rock.
That's insane.
And man, you look at it and it's like, man, dudes have been having fun fishing with their friends for 50,000 years. This is awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah. You look close enough, there's got to be a beer there somewhere, right? Yeah.
Hey, beer's old, so they probably were drinking beer back then.
Yeah. So that's a trip, man. Like those are that's amazing. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that one because I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a blast with him, and he took the time out, and he's pretty big on YouTube. So I mean, it was awesome that he spent time. Not as big as the KXnO gentleman that we have in front of us. So
yep, me and all my YouTube fame.
All right, so Ross, I had a question for you. Since you've gone to all these cool places and caught all sorts of kinds of fish, I'm curious. So out of all these fish that you've caught, what's your favorite fish to target?
And I think you might have even said this or alluded to it last week. Man, I love northern. Like everything about them. I think they're the most delicious fish to eat. I think they are a ton of fun to catch. There's that danger element because they got big teeth. They're not quite as elusive as a muskie. Like, you know what I mean? They're obviously not as big as muskie either, but they get to be giants. And you can catch, when we were in that hole, my buddy Dusty caught a 35-inch northern. That's one of the pictures that I'd posted. And man, you look at that thing, you look at that picture of that 35-inch northern and that picture of my 35-inch sturgeon, they look like, that makes the sturgeon look like a 17-inch fish. Like there's just something about, I don't know, man, if it's the way that that northern has that leopard print to it. That targeting them is, I don't even know if that's a fair thing to say, Kit, right? Because it's like you kind of run into them and they kind of run into you, and you catch them, fish them for walleye. I've caught them fishing for bass. I've caught them fishing for crappie. So, it's wild. That would be that's my favorite fish. My favorite fish to go and target, like with my son, is largemouth bass. I think you were kind of talking about how one of you, maybe Kit, you don't like largemouth. Is that
right? Something like that. I'm kind of whatever on largemouth.
The only thing with that is like having my 10-year-old with me, and you see that fight, you see them jump out of the water. They're pretty easy to go catch, and they look like trophies. You don't have to worry about, handing them to your kid. And there's nothing that bass can do to hurt a kid.
They don't have like a lot of spines or nothing.
That's true. No, you're right, because even the smallest freaking white bass will stab the crap out of your hand. But you're right, a largemouth is. I can definitely agree with you on that, because that's the easiest fish to pass on.
And I would have probably said walleye like 10 years ago, but I have been so spoiled with that. Like the going up to that, the greatest walleye fishery in the world, where you drop down and you got 5 dudes catching walleye at the same time.
Wow.
It doesn't feel like targeting them. And I should also say, like, I've never really been muskie fishing. The only time I went muskie fishing was one afternoon in Canada, and my buddies would all say that was the most fun per cast we've ever had. Like, just the hope of that, And when we go up to Canada, there's a dude that comes every year named Mike Zeismer, who is as far as I'm concerned, a world-class muskie fisherman. The dude has boated as many muskie. I've talked to a few guys who've had more on my DNR Fishing Report podcast, but Zeismer is an amazing muskie fisherman. And there's got to be something to the fact that when a dude starts fishing for muskie, he never fishes for another fish. And in a way, that's the same thing with trout. Did we lose Grandy?
No, I'm here.
I think his camera turned off.
My camera does that once in a while. Sorry. There we go. We're good.
All right. In a way, that's kind of the same thing with like trout, right? Like you will see dudes that once they start trout fishing, they're like, man, I don't want to catch anything else ever.
If you're catching big trout, I would imagine.
True.
Yeah.
Like Iowa trout. I don't know about Iowa trout.
Maybe. It's that's the thing, because I got into ice fishing because of my brother-in-laws and everything out there in Denver, and fishing kit's completely correct. I got so spoiled, like I don't even go for trout near here or anywhere, because when I'm out there in Denver, I mean I'm catching, you're targeting like monster trout. You're talking like huge. I mean I caught, I think last ice season I caught I caught a cut bow. And I think it was close to about 5 pounds or so, 5 or 6 pounds. And it was huge. And then where we're fishing, because we're out all the way up in the mountains and everything, they take us. I mean, I'm so spoiled now, because when I come here and see Iowa, stock trout, I mean, it's, you know what I mean? You know how it goes. Yeah. Once you get to that point. Exactly. So we're definitely spoiling that. But
we're lucky to be spoiled like that, Grandy. Seriously, we're lucky to have been spoiled with experiences like that.
Yeah. And I do you like locally? Do you fish? Do you fish locally for specific like, because so Fishing Kit and I, we target maybe like catfish. We've been catfishing a lot lately, and wipers and stuff. Do you target any of those species locally, or do you just like to travel and fish?
Yeah, no, my brother is a big river rat. He spends a lot of time river fishing. He lives down in Carlisle along the Des Moines. So that's one of another. I mean, I really like going down and hanging out with him along the river. But again, it's pretty passive fishing, right? What I'm doing down there, you're kind of throwing stuff out and having a few beers and chopping it up with your brother, and the nephews and boys are all around. And that's fun. I like that. I do fish a lot with my son, especially this year when the quarantine and we all kind of got locked inside.
What are you gonna do?
That's right. And I'm like you guys. I'm not an indoor dude. We have kayaks, so we were on the kayaks quite a bit. We even bought like a little inflatable boat and went fishing on the inflatable boat, which was fun. So we fished down at on the south side of Des Moines at the Fort Des Moines Pond a bunch this year. I'd never fished there. You guys know what that is?
Yeah, we definitely know.
I think it's like 5 minutes from my house.
Yeah, it is.
I've never fished it.
I was just gonna say that. It's like,
you aren't missing much, right? There's a reason you haven't fished it,
right?
But it's fun. We caught a couple of nice bass out of there. And again, so yeah, Fishing Kit, you wouldn't like it at all. Never mind, stay away.
Speaking of kayak fishing, I don't know if you're free this weekend, Ross. We're actually gonna go up to Clear Lake this weekend. Coming up right now to kayak fish Clear Lake.
Dude, I heard you guys say that you were thinking about doing that. Man, I'll have to check with the wife. My wife works
the boss. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Overnight. Yeah. You know the boss thing, but no, seriously, she works overnight. So I think she works this weekend, Saturday and Sunday night. So I'm probably out. But man, you keep me in mind about that. Now, I don't have a fishing kayak. I have a kayak that I take fishing. Same thing with my son. Mm-hmm. And then we have the inflatable boat. We've actually got a trolling motor on it. Nice. And that's actually what we've taken. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But you both have fishing kayaks. And that is something, one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about, because I almost did that this year. Like that was one of the things that I was so close to buying. And then we ended up going, did you just do it this year?
Well, I originally started kayak fishing maybe about 5 years ago. And I actually introduced this guy into kayak fishing. And I sold it because I had multiple daughters, because I got 4 daughters now, by the way. So
congratulations.
Insane. I don't know what I was thinking. I sold it. And then this year, Fishing Kit right here, he goes, you know what, dude, just ask for forgiveness later. Just freaking buy it. Go. And I did it. I pretty much did it. I got the eyebrow look when it was dropped off to the house. And but at the end of the day, she knows it's like you say, it's a passion of mine. But yeah, it's night and day. If that's something you're going to get into, this guy knows way more than me in regards to fishing, kayak fishing and everything. But it's a great investment. If you really are going to get into it, I highly recommend getting a true fishing kayak and everything. And I mean, right, Kit?
Pedal powered.
If your main focus is fishing, having pedals so you be hands free, that's the way to go. If you ask me, because what do you fish with? Your hands. I mean, you can get away with a paddle kayak and fish. Maybe troll or just anchor up. But if you want to cover water and fish at the same time, I think pedal's the way to go.
Yeah.
I'm the manual man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was there too, you know.
That reminds me, Fishing Kid, of a joke that I heard fishing this at the last trip I was on. So a wife came home and asked her husband, if you had to lose one arm or one leg, which would you choose? And he said, I'd choose to lose a leg so I could keep fishing.
Yeah, I heard that one.
He's like, you jerk, man. My coworker asked her husband, and he said he'd lose his leg so he could still hug his wife with both arms. And he said, sounds like a dude who's never been fishing.
Yeah. I heard.
No, that's true though. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely.
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sorry, but that is true, man. It's just, oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and another thing with the fishing kayak is, you know, some people try to go out there and get the cheapest kayak possible, but then end up upgrading later. The way I see it is, you might as well save up for that kayak that you really want. So you take that money that you put into that cheap kayak towards that, you know, better kayak. And usually those more expensive kayaks generally come with a better seat, and a better seat is like the difference between fishing for 2 hours and like, oh man, my back's, you know, hurting. I gotta get off the water. You know, $200-300 more you might be fishing like 6 hours and be fine.
Man, I had the green light too, boys. I really did. My wife for my birthday this year was like, she really was. She's like, go find what you want. We were looking at have you guys seen like the 2 pontoon system that it kind of looks like so it's 2 pontoon rafts, but then you have a fishing platform between the two. And then there's a chair on it and you can row from it. You know what I mean? But you're on an elevated platform above 2 pontoons. I thought about getting one of those. It looked like a pain in the ass. So I didn't.
It sounds like a pain in the ass, but
sounds like it's getting too complicated.
Yeah, that might be a little difficult for you to pull onto a lake and all of a sudden, because that sounds heavy. First of all.
Yeah, she even said, like, she's like, I want something that you can go fishing by yourself, like, and get something. And so I had the full green light to buy a fishing kayak if I wanted, man.
Ross, what is going on?
I know.
Oh my
dude, it was the summer that I was fishing with my son every day. So it was like, no, if I can buy this little inflatable boat for the same price, get a trolling motor, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
And now my kid doesn't even appreciate it. So I could have had the fishing kayak.
It's all right. We have another year. You got another year now.
I got another birthday next year. Right.
There you go. And it's time for you to, reward yourself for pushing it off for a year, in a sense.
Yeah. Right.
I wanted to ask you, because you brought that up, the podcast that you do with Jeff, the DNR monthly. It's really cool. And this is, I listened to a couple episodes and I really started getting into it, listening to you guys. And I didn't even know it was around until I think it was about a month or two ago. And I sent it to Fishing Kit and we're like, holy crap, man, this is some great information. So how did you and Jeff decide, to do this, and what's the podcast and everything about, so everybody who's listening to this or watching this can jump on that, especially even Central Iowa or Iowa in a sense, because it's so much good information. It truly is.
It is.
I appreciate it, Randy, and man, it's I've been incredibly blessed to get to meet Jeff and do that podcast with him, because I've learned a ton about fishing. I thought I knew a lot about fishing in Iowa. I knew nothing. I still know nothing. And I learn every day, every month I'm with those dudes. Tyler Stubbs and Jeff Kopaska are the two guys I do the podcast with. It's just the Iowa Fishing Report podcast with the Iowa DNR. Mm-hmm. We don't even really have our own like podcast page or anything. We just kind of launch it through my Sports Fanatics podcast on KXnO. And then they send it out on their Iowa DNR fishing newsletter. So if you get the fishing newsletter, you'll notice that there is a Fishing Report podcast link, and you can always click that and listen. Normally, Jeff gets some sort of fisheries expert from around the country, around the world, or we try to focus as much as we can on the Midwest and specifically Iowa, and just talk about different things like what, I felt like last week when I was listening to the Kevin Paul episode that you guys had, that was like listening to one of the DNR podcasts. Like the information is just flowing and flowing, and you're just sitting there in awe. Like, man, this is awesome. I just want to keep. I almost have to listen to it again. To what did he say about where did he say the perch were spitting them out on the weed lines, or there's all this stuff. It's so much stuff. And Jeff is so good at that. And so we started it a long time ago, about 4 or 5 years ago. We started doing it. Wow. Seems like maybe 3. Jeff and I happened to meet through Chris Williams, my co-host on KXnO. Chris and he are both big Iowa State fans.
Poor guy.
And so Chris knew that I loved fishing, and he said, "Man, you got to meet this dude that knows more about fishing than you do." And I'm like, "Yeah." And then I met him. I'm like, "Oh my, this is amazing." So yeah, it's just awesome. Tyler Stubbs has an accent that makes you think that he grew up in Biloxi, Mississippi, but he actually grew up like in Fort Dodge. And he, along with Jeff, I mean, they are really neck and neck for the 2 smartest fishing guys I've ever met in my life. I have fished with both of them, and I can tell you firsthand, they are legitimate expert anglers. It's not just book stuff. These guys absolutely can fish their brains out, man. And I'm every month I look forward to sitting down with those guys, and they can tell you where every fish is biting in the state of Iowa. It's amazing. Wow. Incredible. You're going to love talking to those dudes.
All right. So right now, because I'm with you, Ross, because I'm that guy. I learned from this guy. I learned from this podcast. I just love fishing. I'm not good at it. I just love it. But like you just said, I absorb all the time with these guys. So I'm excited now. We're going to talk to Jeff. We're going to pick his brain in regards to the Iowa. Yeah.
You're going to love him. He's amazing. Yeah. He's an Iowa State fan, but he's awesome.
Nobody's perfect. I posted that, nobody's always perfect. It's okay. It happens, man. Hey, I went to Iowa State. I was that kid. I went to Iowa State, and I'm still a Hawkeye fan through it all. You can ask all my friends. They'll hate me on this, but they know it's true. I was that guy up at Iowa State, going to school at Iowa State, always rooting for the Hawkeyes. I was born and raised a Hawkeye fan. So,
did you have a Tiger Hawk in your room?
I did not. Not that. Oh, that was a little tacky.
Yeah. I just wanted to. I want to know who I was dealing with here. Like, I didn't know how East Side you were.
Oh wow.
That's funny. I need to reload. Actually,
those are.
You gonna go reload another beer?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Go reload, brother. Cause we just edit whatever the stuff that we get. But man, it was yeah, I've been a huge fan of yours because I knew about you. I've been listening to you and Chris. Well, I actually listened to you and Mr. Justice Travis in the morning when you were in the mornings with him. I followed you for a while there, and we started doing this because honestly, we love craft beer and we love fishing, and there's really no because we were just talking right before you got on. So we're gonna start doing a podcast while fishing pretty soon. So, because we did one episode, we actually were catfishing. Didn't go so well because we didn't catch shit. But we did the podcast. I don't think there's a podcast in America or in the US where they actually caught fish yet during the podcast. That's our main goal right now. So our main goal is to do a podcast. Okay, Kit, you might have to cut this out in case somebody hears this and goes and does it before we do it. But our goal is literally to, we have 3 goals. One goal is to catch a fish while we do a podcast. Second goal is to hopefully do a podcast with Natty up north. I don't know if you know her or anything. She's a huge YouTube star. That's our second goal. Third goal is to hopefully one day get sponsored by a beer, like a brewery. That's our third goal. That's all our goals. So while doing this, I mean, I do this. Honestly, me and Kit, we just started doing this, and we just love it. It's fun to us. And
it's fun.
Yeah.
Man, okay, so let me help you out with that third goal, Grandy, okay? Because you guys, you could absolutely get this thing sponsored by a local brewery. Dude, Barntown or Exile or Reclaimed Rails. Like, dude, we have so many. We got we do. 9 decent breweries in Des Moines.
Agreed.
And you could just go to each one of them, man. Make the list that you and Fishing Kit like from 1 to 9, and go to the first one and walk in and go, hey, man, here's what we do. We'd love it if you'd listen. If you don't, no big deal. But here's why we're really here. We drink beer and we talk fishing and we have a lot of fun. And we would love to talk about your beer. Now, here's what we'd like in return. Free beer. Give us beer to talk about. And then if we can drive some people here, you know, over the next couple of months or something, maybe we can come back and talk to you guys about actually sponsoring this thing and giving us money or something like that. Because I think one of the breweries would say, man, I'll give you, what do you want? I'll give you a couple 12 packs of beer if you're going to talk about me on your podcast.
That's true.
And now you're sponsored, right?
Yeah, well, technically. Hey, but like you just said, every dollar counts, and hey, good beer is good beer. So.
And right, and you don't even have to drink that beer. You can say, man, we're sponsored by Barntown. We love Barntown. Here's the new beers they got tonight. What are you drinking, Fishing Kit? I'm drinking a Rogue Stout. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's true.
Because those guys are all they're all good with that. Like,
cool, yeah.
Give them their love.
I'll definitely reach out to them because I'm a big Bruno guy, anyways. So I used to
love me some Bruno.
I got. You know what? I don't know if you ever get a chance to see him again, but tell him I would love to have, because we haven't had a beer guy yet. We're called Beer Fish Fanatics. We haven't had a true beer concierge beer guy. We're so
Bruno's gone to Canada with me the last 2 years I've gone.
Oh shit! Well then
he had never, dude. He can't talk fishing with you for shit. He when we were driving up there to Canada, he's like, man, I have a fishing pole, and I used it one time. And it was to get a rake off my neighbor's roof.
Wow.
His neighbor's son had like thrown a rake on the roof. And Bruno went and like fished it off of the dude's roof. Yeah. So again, like when we went up to Canada, they wouldn't necessarily let Bruno and his dad go out on their own boat because they didn't know what they were doing. But they were in a guide boat the whole time. And then like me and my friends would follow him. And I was with Bruno. I was 20 feet behind him when he latched onto like a 40-inch pike and hauled it in. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. So I listen to Beer with Bruno. So we keep this in, just FYI, everybody. Beer with Bruno on Thursdays. I think they do it on KXnO in the morning. So,
hold on here, boys. Hold on.
I think the boss is in charge now. So boss is talking to Ross Peterson. So you can keep this going if you want, Fishing Kit, on that. But
it means it's real. It's really happened.
This is real life. This
is real life.
We normally keep some stuff like this around, FYI, Ross, because it's just we love it.
As long as you didn't hear what the wife said, you keep that around. That's fine with me.
I didn't hear a word.
I didn't hear it. Yeah, I just heard
Well, but here's what's going on. She has a friend. She got to go do a welfare check on her friend, so she's worried about. She's worried about her friend. So
talk about real life. Yeah, that's real life.
Yeah, right.
Hopefully her friend's doing okay.
Yeah, no kidding. Right. I told her to text me. This ain't the first time. She's gonna be fine.
What'd you get, Kit? What are you drinking now?
Oh yeah, I got.
You can't go grab a refill and then not tell us what the hell you're drinking, guy.
Speaking of my favorite beer.
Oh damn!
There you go, the Pseudo Sue. Oh. It's a pale ale for those that don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of hoppy, not as hoppy as a regular IPA, but it's got like some fruity stuff going on there. But I wouldn't call it like a fruity beer.
No, I wouldn't call it fruity. I would say you guys are drinking. Man, maybe I'm overstating this. I was gonna say I think you're drinking the two most popular IPAs out of Iowa.
I agree.
But I would have to say maybe specify it more to be like the two most popular in Des Moines.
Yes, yes, I agree.
Right,
definitely.
Pseudo Sue. I don't know anybody that is into craft beer that hasn't had a Pseudo Sue and didn't at one point love it, and it wasn't like one of their favorite beers. It's an amazing beer, man. Everything Toppling Goliath does is fantastic, man. That's what I did tell Grandy, man, when we were talking about what beer to drink tonight. I've got a morning latte downstairs.
Yeah.
Have you guys had morning latte? Is one of my favorite beers of all time. It's an espresso stout that TG did. It's fantastic.
No, I haven't had it. So I'm going to try that now. Because after you messaged me on that, I was like, I've never had it. So I'm going to have to. I Googled it. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to have to at least try it.
It's one, man. You can get like 4 packs of it at like, Fairway and Hy-Vee and stuff like that. So
nice.
It ain't too difficult to get.
All right, Ross. I guess we get back to fishing. So you've caught all these cool fish. So what's one bucket list fish that you haven't caught yet?
I've never been deep sea fishing at all, and so I mean, there's so many that would be on that list, right? I almost feel like that's a whole different category, right? Mm-hmm. Is that fair? That like I can't say like a grouper or something like that, right?
That'd be awesome.
That would be a Goliath grouper. Every time I see the videos of those fish, man, I just think that'd be amazing. Now, fishing kit, you might see it as just a great big bass, right? Because that's all that thing is.
Actually, I can respect the grouper.
Because it's a car. You're catching a car, guys.
Right. Right. So a great big sturgeon would be, like one of those fish that fight for hours. I had buddies several years ago that were in Baudette when I was fishing on the island that hooked up with like a 62-inch sturgeon, and they fought it for like 2 hours.
Wow.
I mean, at that point, well, that's insane. At that point, you're passing the pole and you're wearing out 5 grown men. I want that. Like that. I love that fight that happens when your buddy hooks up with something big, and like my son, we were talking about earlier, when somebody in the boat hooks up with a big fish and you hear that rod squeal, there's few adrenalines in life like that moment of like, oh man, we got a big one on the line here, and everybody reel in because none of us matter now. It's only this guy and this fish. So hooking up with a great big sturgeon would be one. Man, let's think of like bucket list though.
Grouper's a bucket list because it's not around anywhere here.
Yeah, right. But definitely. I'm trying to think of I was trying to think of something that is actually feasible, from a kayak in Iowa. Right?
Yeah.
Do you like fishing? What's your answer to that?
I'd say let's do both. Like one, regardless of money, time, location, whatever fish that is, and then for the second one, we do like something that's more. Like, let's say you can plan it 2 weeks from now, like just drive 6 hours and go catch whatever fish. Because like for me, there's a ocean striped bass in Alabama, and that's a 6.5 hour drive. So, I could make that trip next weekend, just spend a weekend down there, catch an ocean striped bass, and that's another fish off my list.
That's a great pick, man. That's a great one. We had a guy on our podcast, the DNR podcast, a couple years ago that was like an expert in that. We had a guy last year that had set these really cool life goals for himself, and it was amazing. He'd accomplished all of them. So like when he was 49 years old, he decided that before his 50th birthday, he was going to catch 50 different types of fish, and he did it.
Wow.
Then the next year he decided he was going to catch a fish in all 50 states, and he did it. Ooh. And then it was crazy, man. He did it in like 50 different bodies of water, and he did it with 50 different lures, and then he did it with 50 different people.
That's insane. Holy cow. That's crazy. Right.
So man, I'm trying to think of one that he pulled in. You guys got me thinking last week. And I think it was you, Fishing Kit, with Kevin that was talking about those. Was it the white bass that just fight like crazy?
Oh, yep, they do.
Man, listen, I've never caught a white bass.
What?
Never caught a bass, man. Swear to God.
Hybrid. Nope. Okay, wiper or white bass?
White bass. Well, so that's what you guys were talking about. Were white bass, right? That fight like crazy. Or was it the wipers?
It's wipers.
Both.
Both.
Wipers just get bigger than white bass.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Now I think I've caught wipers when we've been, fishing below the dam.
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but when you guys were talking about white bass, saying they were smaller and they fight like crazy. See, I like catching trout because they fight like crazy, but that's again, not a bucket list fish, but that's one that I was listening to that going, man, I know I've missed out on that.
You got to get on a white, because I was like really well known for white bass. Like
Kopaska beats me up every year around this time because they start to run.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, we got to get on the white bass. And it's always like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Yeah. And the line stayed dry.
I caught two. I was actually fishing before this podcast, of course. And I actually caught like 2 1.5 pounders. They're fun.
We'll talk later about where that was.
Yeah, that's fair.
I like that. Dang, Rosh, you just went up a point with that remark, man.
This guy's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Grandy, have you, I mean, you guys have obviously thought about this a lot more. Because I think that going down to Alabama, that's a good pick, fishing kit. Maybe
actually, I meant Arkansas, not Alabama.
Arkansas.
Yeah, Arkansas is a little closer. Yeah,
I think you did say
I said Alabama, so that was my fault.
I mean, I still, till this day, because people looked at me like Kevin looked at me, I'm crazy. I haven't caught a muskie yet. That's still my bucket list because I have never caught a muskie. I mean, I've never really targeted either, so I can't say that I never caught something I'd never really truly targeted. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, this weekend, if we go up there, I mean, we're going up to Clear Lake, and Kevin said they have tons of muskies. I'm not gonna lie. If I get a couple hours, I'm definitely gonna at least try and catch this elusive 10,000 casts. Perfect,
dude. And I loved the story that Kevin was telling. Was great about the kid that was fishing and saw one, and then all of a sudden had his lure out of the water. That's one of the things that they told us about when we went to go fish that one afternoon. The guy that had us out, he said, he's like, now rule number one is safety. Because you're throwing these lures that are 7, 8, throwing these lures that are 7, 9 inches long with these great big treble hooks on them. Safety is the number one thing. Make sure that you don't hook somebody as you're coming back, or He's like, now rule number 2: a fish is going to come up. It's going to be the biggest fish you've ever seen. Don't crap your pants.
Freaking Kevin.
So there you go. Rule number 1: safety. Okay. Rule number 2: don't crap your pants.
Don't crap your pants when you see a big muskie that's chasing your lure near the boat, right?
So that's you just hit it, Grandy. That's it. And I should have come up with that, man. It would be a muskie. Like, that's my bucket list fish for around here. And I know Kevin kind of said it last week too, man. I've been with those dudes at the DNR when they've done shocking. Mm-hmm. You would not believe the size of the walleye, muskie, and northern in like Big Creek, Oh
yeah.
I think we've seen it, right?
I heard Big Creek's got some big fish.
Yeah. Some monsters in there, man. But they've got the DNR has done such a good job of stocking that stuff, and it's such a good natural habitat for them that you just don't have much of a shot of getting in there with anything artificial and making an impact with them. You know what I mean? So
yeah, no, great shout out to I think Iowa DNR is one of the best DNRs out there, honestly. Not to knock anybody else down, but I think they definitely do a good job in regards to stocking and maintaining a good fish population in all of our waters. I think they do a really damn good job, because when we travel, or when I travel to other states and stuff, I hear how it's really think of it this way: all the surrounding states, people come to Iowa to fish. There you go.
They do.
They do. If you really look at guys from Minnesota come down to Iowa to fish, the land of 10,000 lakes. So it really goes to show you how great of a fishery we have in Iowa.
Kevin hit it on the head last week when he was kind of talking about this too, about all of these other places. Like I go to North Dakota to fish. I've been to South Dakota to fish. I've been to Wisconsin to fish, but those are almost all exclusively naturally reproducing bodies of water that the DNR doesn't have to be invested in. The DNR does not. They're invested in the water quality and the species count and all that of those lakes. Mm-hmm. But it's so naturally reproducing that nothing is alarming to them. Nothing ends up being catastrophic. Here in Iowa, things are on a balance. Mm-hmm. And these guys do a great job of making sure that we've got a ton of little urban fisheries. Like, that's one of Tyler Stubbs, the guy that's on my fishing podcast with me. That's like his specialty, is making sure that when you and your kid want to go catch a bluegill somewhere, there's a place for you to do that. And there's going to be a healthy bluegill population. And it's not going to be impossible for you to put a worm on a hook and throw it under a bobber and catch something. Mm-hmm. And then that just sparks that interest. Like we've all had happen to us. You know what I mean? It's that first fish. You didn't catch a monster that first time, right? You caught a little bluegill and you were amazed by that little bluegill. And then you caught 50 crappie and you were like, holy cow. Then most of us catch a largemouth and get excited, but there's fish in there.
Hey,
So,
trust
like,
me.
you know, that-
Trust me, Ross. I try to get. He goes, okay, next year. Okay, I'm really gonna start targeting him next year. But it is what it is, and this guy catches some amazing wipers. So I mean, I follow him. I learn from him, but to catch some of the wipers that that I see he catches, I'd be like, man. Now I know why. Because this is the thing. Once you catch a 5-pound wiper. Telling you guys, it has nothing.
So fun.
It destroys a 5-pound largemouth. I'm sorry. If anybody wants to argue that, they can argue me all day long. 5-pound wiper will destroy a 5-pound largemouth catching wise. I mean, the fight and everything, it's unbelievable.
Fishing Kit, you better expect a fishing buddy on your hip here in the next couple weeks, man.
Yeah.
Do you ice fish at all?
Yeah, I have been ice fishing a couple times.
Okay.
I enjoy it. I've never. I know last week when you guys were talking about kind of double banging holes, that seemed like a little bit too much private information for me. But I've been in some fishing cabins with guys. We never did that. I enjoy ice fishing, man. But you guys would be fun to ice fish with, because if you can sit and bullshit with somebody and drink beer with them and talk about 1,000 different things, ice fishing is fun. I've been ice fishing for a 48-hour ice fish on Mille Lacs with 8 dudes, and we had 2 different ice castles. We probably had 20 lines in the water, and we did not get a single bite.
Wow.
So,
dang.
But we had fun. You know what I mean? We drank a lot of beer. We played a lot of games. We had a lot of fun. But it's not the same. Like, it's just, unless you're going to go out, like going with the thing like Kevin was talking about and doing the Kevin Paul guide service, he's going to make sure you're catching fish. He's going to move you around the lake and get you on some spots. Going up to Ballard's Resort and getting on Lake of the Woods and going through like a guided place, they're going to make sure you're on the fish. If you and your buddies want to get out there and spend the day drilling and moving and drilling and moving and drilling and moving, that'd be a fun day. But man, it's just not as it's a different experience than getting out with your buddies, even shore fishing with your friends. Sure. It's a totally different experience, man, because it's that old adage, you are hunting through the chimney. Like you're looking in one spot and you're hoping that fish comes by that one spot in one direction or another, and that you are able to bang it when you get it. So it's different. It's fun. If you're with the right couple and with the right company, it's fantastic. And I've been lucky enough to never have a bad ice fishing experience, even without catching fish.
There you go. Can't ask for anything more than that, but we'll take you out this year. If you get an opportunity, I'll hit you up. We'll take you out locally, so you don't have to go too far, and we'll see if we can get you on some big fish through the ice this year.
Catfish through the ice.
See, catfish.
Ooh.
See, I haven't caught one yet through the ice. See, so this is my goal this year through the ice is catfishing. So this guy, if you go check out Fishing Kit's YouTube channel or this channel that this is going to be on, you'll see some of the catfish that he caught last year through the ice. And I'm not going to lie, I was super damn jealous.
I'm going to go check it out, man.
Yeah. I might know a spot. I did really good a few times at this spot.
So,
and like they're big too, like 20 plus inches. I think my biggest catfish this year in Iowa was through the ice, 29 inches.
That's a monster, man.
Yeah.
Off a 30-inch pole? Just imagine that.
Like a 30-inch rod, 4 to 6 pound test. Oh, it's so fun.
That's fun. Yeah.
I can't like bluegills through the ice, sure. If you want to catch stuff, but once you started hooking big fish through the ice, like catfish and wipers, I started getting into wipers through the ice. And like I can just fish for those 2 fish, or even just one of those, like catfish all winter long or wipers all winter long. I'd be set. I would just I'd die happy right there.
There you go. Holy crap, man! We've kept Ross here way past the hour mark. Sorry, man. I know you're busy. So,
hey, I knew if I was like, man, if we end up with one of these 30-minute episodes, I'm gonna be disappointed. I want one an hour long.
Nah, never. Not with us, at least. But you got anything else for Ross, Kit? I mean, before we'll let this gentleman at least get back, because he's got to do some research for sports. He's got to do his job a little bit.
Yankees lost. My research is over. Drink the night away.
I guess you just talk about your podcast. How how people can, where to find it, other ways to contact you, things like that.
I'm so the easiest way for the podcast is either through the KXnO Sports Fanatics. That's my daily sports talk show that I do, and we post that there once a month. And then if you're listening to this podcast, man, you should be subscribing to the DNR's monthly fishing newsletter. It's an awesome resource of where guys are catching fish. I mean, very specific stuff. How far off the shoreline, what depths of water, what they're using. And so it makes it fun. If you want to take people fishing and get them hooked on fishing, you want them to catch fish. And sometimes that's difficult for schmucks like me. Like, it's tough to go out and catch fish. It's nice to have a little bit of a cheat and have somebody that tells you, hey, man, this spot, this way. And that's exactly what the newsletter and the podcast are kind of designed to do. And also just kind of inform you about all of the different biology that's happening in the waters around you, why the fish are reacting the way they are. As you guys know, man, weather is very important. Weather patterns are very important. And knowing if you're going to start looking for big fish, knowing really weird things like moon phases and stuff like that, all of it is just little ingredients into the soup that help you out when you're going out to do stuff. So that's all things that we kind of talk about on the podcast, are just these little tiny tricks and things that you will want to know. I mean, as simple as, hey, we're going to be stocking trout at this particular pond at this particular time. Show up and you're going to catch trout. 2, we've been hearing that people out on the river are starting to the white bass are starting to run in these places. The crappie are really big in this pond. So it's fun, and it's very informative. And that's you can find that either on my podcast page or through the DNR. You can hook up with me on Twitter. I'm Ross Peterson with an _at the end. I usually accept most Facebook requests. I'm looking though, man. Fishing Kit's got me. I got to get on Instagram, don't I, man? Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody,
I keep looking. Keep trying to look you up on Instagram. Like, where is Ross's Instagram?
He's a Twitter guy.
Sorry.
He's a Twitter guy. I get it.
And I don't even like doing that, Grandy. I don't even like it, man.
I feel you. We're from the same boat. I'm with you 100%. Not a huge social media guy, but this stupid, society nowadays. We gotta.
It's the world we live in, man. No doubt about it. So anyway, and I will keep you guys up to date. Like when I have fishing trips that come up that I'm either hosting or whatever, and if you guys want to help me out with advertising those things and letting your listeners know about it, I'd really appreciate it. And I'm going to be letting everybody know that I was on with you guys. This is a lot of fun. You guys keep this up, man. This is going places.
100%, Ross.
It was fun.
It was super, super fun. And I'm excited to talk to Jeff. I appreciate what you guys do because for the fishing community and also the beer community. A lot of people don't even realize KXnO. I mean, you guys do amazing things for local businesses, local breweries, and then to come to do a podcast with the DNR and everything, I appreciate that. Shit like that to me, it's priceless. And like I said, I'm all about, I got MaPop Fishing, I'm all about supporting the small businesses and locally. So I appreciate everything you guys do. So definitely everybody got to check that out. Ross is right. Sign up because I think weekly on Thursdays, DNR sends out a where is it hot? What's biting? Where are they located? He's not kidding you guys. If you guys want to catch fish, at least have a little bit of an edge, you guys should definitely sign up for that. The newsletter from the Iowa DNR. Obviously we sign up. I sign up. So I don't catch as much as I'm not as good as some people, but
I need to sign up. I ain't gonna lie. I gotta sign up. But I did listen. I listened to your podcast through I think June. Was it the spoonbills down in Oklahoma, electrofishing, the musky fishing? I'm like, oh man, this is it's just so much. There's so much info out there that you guys are putting out on the podcast.
Yeah.
I went with those dudes when they went shocking a few years ago up in Big Creek. It was unbelievable. I was blown away that there were fish like that in Central Iowa, man. So, so great stuff, guys. Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate this. This has been a lot of fun.
Thanks, Ross. Appreciate it. And then, like I said, sign up for the Iowa DNR newsletter. Check out the podcast with Ross and Jeff and Tyler. Great information. So, other than that, have a great one, guys.
See you guys.